Hello and good morning, CSL. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Leigh Adams, the other Leigh, your guest vocalist today. So please join with us as we sing our first song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm one of the prayer practitioners here in Melynda, and we have 7 core values at Center for Spiritual Living, and today's is service. Service to others is an expression of our oneness. It is a spiritual practice of compassion. The poet Rumi reminds us to listen with ears of tolerance, see through the eyes of compassion, and speak with the language of love. Please join me in prayer. There is only one power expressing itself through me, and it is love, compassion, and wisdom. I am, and you are, one with this divine truth. I am here to express spirit in every word and my every deed. I express love and compassion to everyone I meet. I listen often and speak less. Spirit's love guides me to act with divine wisdom and speak with compassionate truth. I declare and live in my knowing that in each moment I am a sacred presence of God. I give thanks for all of life's lessons and for the awareness that God is with me in every moment. Knowing that my word is already so in the mind of God, I rest and let it be, and so it is.
1, 2, 3, 4.
When you wish upon the star, your dreams will take you very far. When you wish upon the dream, on you. Give you strength to carry on. Make your body big and strong. Ornaments out of the sun. Now my work is just begun, yeah. I had to stand alone. Blessed now I've got my own. So if you find yourself in need, why don't you listen to this word of heed? Be a giant grain of sand. Words of wisdom, yes I can, yeah. You're a shining star, no matter who you are. Shining bright to see what you can truly be. You're a shining star, no matter who you are. Shining bright to see what you can truly be. Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be. Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be. Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be.
One, two.
I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. When you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might be taking chances, but they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let some helping heart leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. Hope you still feel small when you're by the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance.
Lee. That was gorgeous. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Welcome to CSL. My name is Kate, and I am such an incredibly blessed member of this community, this teaching. You know, it's been 17 years that I've been in New Thought, and I have learned so much through CSL and through the truth as we know it. And 2020, we thought we'd been through it all, didn't we? And we did it together. We did it as a community, knowing the truth of it. And then 2021 came in, and geez, we're less than 10 days in, and we've been shown a lot of stuff that's trying to convince us of what is not true. You see, this is what I know about this teaching, and this is what I feel compelled to remind all of us of on this Sunday after such a rough week, is that the human condition that presents itself when it feels like it's at its darkest, when it feels like it's at our most troublesome, is actually the beginning of the healing. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to have things escalate to a point, whether it's the planet, our communities, our partnerships. We have to get to the point where we can all see the same picture, even if it's from different sides. Only then can we actually start to heal things like the planet and our communities and our country. So, take heart. Do not be convinced that this is the beginning of something terrible. This is actually the beginning of something amazing that we get to achieve together. I hold each of you in my heart. I know the truth, and I'm so blessed that this community, all of you, everyone listening in, I know that you are helping to move this world towards healing. For that, I thank you. And I ask you to join me in reaffirming who we are, who we will never stop being, because it is so vital to the health of this world. We are a diverse and inclusive spiritual community expressing God as love. Indeed.
Oh, thank you so much, Kate. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Leigh, the other Leigh, for being here this morning as our guest. We always love it when you're here. So thank you so much. I can't see if you were there, but thank you anyway. And welcome to all of you who are joining us through all the various platforms that we're connecting on these days. If you're with us on Zoom or Facebook or YouTube, or if you are listening to the podcast on our website, we are so grateful that you're connecting with us, that you're there, and that we can reach out and connect with you and still imagine you and be in community together. And hopefully this is almost as good as being here. So we're trying to make that the experience that we're still seeing and hearing and experiencing one another. So thank you for all the ways that you're doing that. Let's move this a little bit. So there is an idea that spiritual teachers across time have communicated. And it's the idea that we have two births. The first birth is our physical birth into the world. The second one is a spiritual birth that takes place after we get here. And it's an evolution. It doesn't just happen all at once. So Jesus reportedly talked about being born again. And evidently that must have been a new or an unheard of idea, because according to the story, it really threw his followers for a loop when he talked about being born again, because they asked, how can you re-enter your mother's womb and be born a second time? But he wasn't talking in those terms. He was talking about a spiritual birth. Deepak Chopra said that we are gods and goddesses in embryo. Our potential is birthed throughout our lifetime. It's something that happens as long as we're here. We are developing, growing, expanding, evolving in this second birth. In our book this month, The Book of Soul by Mark Nepo, he says that our second birth is an experiential one, and that it's through the labor of a lifetime that our souls are birthed on the earth. So the lesson today is entitled, Our Walk in the World. And it is in that walk in the world where our second birth takes place. In the everyday experiences of our lives in the world. At home, at work, in our interactions with people that we encounter every day. As Mark Nepo said, it is a labor of a lifetime that we experience. And that is how our souls are birthed on the earth, through all of these experiences that we have. The good and the bad, the easy, the hard, all of them evolve us and transform us. But I don't think that this has to be as mysterious or as complicated as we seem to make it sometimes. I love having this practical spirituality that we have at CSL. We try to provide things that are things that we can put into practice every day and get results. So the writer, Emily McDowell, had a unique and I think a helpful way to describe what has been called our spiritual birth on the earth. So she had a real unique way of saying it. I just want to share with you what she said. She said, "You are not here to find yourself. You are not a $10 bill in last year's winter coat pocket. You are also not lost. Your true self is right here. Now, it may be buried under cultural conditioning. It may be blurred by other people's opinions. Your true self may be hidden by inaccurate conclusions that you drew as a kid that became your beliefs about who you are. Finding yourself is actually returning to yourself, remembering who you were before the world got its hands on you." So that's a very unique way to describe this second birth that we are experiencing as long as we're here on the planet. So I'm sure it's no mystery to any of us or any surprise to hear that we are shaped by our experiences, including our experiences and interactions with all the people in our life. We've been shaped in any number of ways to believe that who we are and our value is wrapped up in a number of things that just aren't true. I am what I have. I am what I do. I am what other people say or what other people think of me. Or I am limited by my past. It seems to be easy for us in our humanity to get hooked by people and circumstances outside of us, and then let them take us down a path that causes us to forget our identity and our value has nothing to do with what I have, what I do. It has nothing to do what other people say or think of me. And it has nothing to do with my past. Our value and our worth is not wrapped up in any of those things. If you know that you have the stamp of approval from the creator of the universe, your value is permanently intact as long as you can stand in that belief that the creator of the universe put its stamp of approval on me. So last week I shared this and a number of people said, "I love that and I'd love to hear it again." So I shared this quote with you that the creator of galaxies took human form as me. What could be lacking about that? That realization just by itself, if we could remember that and stand in that, could be a huge part of our spiritual rebirth. The creator of galaxies took human form as me. What could be lacking about that? So you may have heard this at one time as well, and I think I've probably shared it before, but I read once that the newborn child still knows who they are because they haven't been here long enough to get disconnected from their source. But that's the evolution of this second birth that we're talking about. It's the evolution of our soul that takes place over our entire lifetime. And it's really what it's doing is returning us to the person who knows that they have the stamp of approval from their Creator, the one who took human form as us. So remember what I said a few minutes ago about what Emily McDowell said, that you're not here to find yourself because you're not lost. So if you've been around CSL for any amount of time, you know that we do not do the "you're lost" message, because it doesn't make sense to us that God would create broken and flawed material. The best parts of us have always been here. They are here right now, and they will always be here. But you probably notice that the things that we've been told that determine who we are and what we wrap up our value in are all outside of us. What I have, what I do, what people think of me, and what I did in my past. Those are all things that are outside of us, but we've internalized the messages about them. So there are some very practical, everyday things that we can put into practice that shift our focus from out there to in here. And that's the key, creating the shift. Because all of our messages of being lost or not enough came from out there. So these are 3 practices that I'll just tell you now are going to sound really simple, but they are not always easy to put into practice. But they turn us back inside where our true self and our true value live. So, the first practice, give thanks for what most people take for granted. Sounds pretty simple. If you have a comfortable home, food to eat, clean water to drink, you have more than half of the world's population. Now, I'm not saying that's all you should have or that you shouldn't have, goals or to strive for more. But can you remember the last time you were grateful and gave thanks for the comfortable place that you live? Or that you had enough food to eat? Or that you had clean water to drink? Maybe reliable transportation? And not taken it for granted. Regardless of how you may feel about your body when you look at yourself in the mirror, have you been grateful for your body? That has been the vehicle that carried you through your entire life. That's been the vessel of your soul. It's contained your spirit. It's held your feelings and your emotions, your dreams, your vision. Your body is the one thing that has been with you everywhere you've been and gone through every experience that you've gone through, regardless of how well you took care of it or not. So we all know about gratitude. It's the recognition that so much good has been given to us. But in this case, it's a gratitude for things that we may not have even asked for. So try being grateful for the things that most people take for granted. The important part is that it gets us in touch with our internal wealth. It brings us back inside instead of looking outside of us for external standards of value or external standards of worth. The second practice that we can do to shift from out there to in here is to give without an agenda. We have all probably had an experience where someone gave something and later we found out it came with strings attached. The giving had an agenda. I'll give as long as I get something in return. So the word generosity comes from a Latin word that means noble spirit. I love that idea. Being noble in spirit with our giving. So I read once that when we give, that is when we are most like God, because God's nature is to give. God gives because it loves, no strings attached. So what if we started every day by asking ourselves, how can I be of service or beneficial or make a difference in someone's life today? How can I share my time, my talent, my energy, my skills, my treasure, my resources, if I shared those with others in a way that is noble and honorable, with no agenda, no expectation of something in return, not even expecting a response to my noble giving? Again, it's a way to return again into that giving nature that was already there in us from day one. Giving without an agenda takes us from out here, brings us back inside, because the giving begins here, inside of us. So the third and final way to return to yourself and shift from out there to in here is, I saved the best one for last, and that is race to see who can forgive first. Now, there are all kinds of competitions. There are cook-offs, bake-offs. I saw a program on Netflix not too long ago that they were competing to see who had the best dancing frog. There was an episode of who could eat the hottest chilies. And it just got gross. These people just chewing on chilies, swallowing. They were sweating, in some cases throwing up, because the chilies were so hot. I mean, it was just off the chart. But there are all kinds of competition. But competing to see who can forgive first isn't one that we're usually racing to win. Now, we have all read about forgiveness. We've done forgiveness workshops. Kate does this amazing radical forgiveness workshop. She should be talking about this section. We have listened to talks about forgiveness. We've heard it. We know the information. You already know that forgiveness is something you do for yourself and not the person who offended you or hurt you. You don't do it because they deserve forgiveness. You're doing it for you because you deserve the gift of being forgiving, because of the spiritual freedom, the spiritual benefits you get from it. And of course, this also includes being willing to forgive yourself, which is the hardest act of forgiveness for some people. It was said that Jesus told people to forgive 70 times 7. Now, I'm a math guy, so that does not mean to do the math and forgive 490 times, and then I'm suddenly free to hold on to anger and resentment again. I did my 490 forgiveness practices. He was really indicating that the practice of forgiveness would just become a way of life rather than keeping track of offenses. So forgiveness is a way to keep our hearts and our minds free of the toxic debris of resentment that blocks us spiritually, that blocks good from coming into our life, that keeps us from feeling free spiritually and emotionally and mentally. There are so many benefits spiritually to a forgiveness practice. And it's a huge part of our spiritual rebirth on the planet. So those are 3 ways to find our way back to ourselves, to rebirth our original goodness that has been there all along. I think we tend, as I said, to overcomplicate our spiritual journey and our spiritual growth, when it's really a matter of daily practicing things that shift us from what we think matters out there to where it really matters, which is in here, the place that our true nature, our spirit, or our original goodness live within us. Give thanks for what most people take for granted. Give without an agenda. Race to see who can forgive first. And see how those practices take you from out here and bring you back inside and create that shift where you can start to see shifts and change in your life and in this rebirthing experience that we're here to do while we're still on the earth. So I just want to end with a reminder that I think we tend to forget how important we are to one another's spiritual growth and one another's rebirth. I think it becomes easy to think that we can, or that maybe we should, be able to do it on our own. Now, it is our journey, and no one can take it for us, but sometimes we need someone to walk with us for a while. So it reminded me of a story about the Denali National Park in Alaska. And it says that in the park there is this permafrost, which is the layer just below the surface. And it is a delicate fabric that holds the earth together. But when it's trampled on, the fabric that holds things together is broken. So in Denali, hikers are asked not to walk in the same place twice, and to not form or follow a path that would cause them to just run one right after the other and break up this permafrost. It's that fabric, as I said, that holds things together, and it would be trampled on and broken. So in Denali, hikers are asked to walk side by side, so that there is this network of original steps that keeps things together. And that's how I see us supporting someone when they need us to walk with them for a while. Not one in front of the other, but side by side as equals. So I know we're not together right now physically in the building, but as many of us have set up here, we're still imagining all of you, still seeing you here and connecting with you in our imagination. So let's do that together now, knowing that even though we're not here in the building, we can still vision and visualize one another and be a community together. And let's have our spiritual practice. So I'm going to invite you to begin by just closing your eyes and begin that journey inside. Begin by taking a breath and feel that breath enter through your nose and into your lungs. And then when you're full up, exhale it and let it go. And just remember that it's symbolic of taking in and then releasing and letting go, the cycle of life, giving and receiving. So I just invite you to find that quiet place within yourself, whether it's through your breath. If you want to put your hand on your chest and feel your heartbeat, it's all symbolic of the life of spirit that flows in and out of us all day long, every day. It is the source of our life, the source of all that we have. So let's remember together that the presence and the power that created galaxies has taken human form as us. that awesome idea that the same presence that created all that we see, and even the things that we can't see because they're so vast, that same presence took form as us. That it lives in us, around us, and through us. That it created us out of its unconditional love for its creation. And that it does not create broken and flawed material. So we are not lost. We are simply here to remember our original goodness. The presence of God or Spirit, the presence of love within us, around us, and through us. It's what allows us to make a difference in the world. To be the face of God, the life of God, the voice of God for someone else. As we change and transform and evolve, we support other people's transformation and evolution and healing. And so we're here to heal together, to evolve together. We're here to become that potential. As Deepak Chopra said, gods and goddesses in embryo. That potential being developed and evolving all through our lives, becoming more of what we came here to be. So let's just sit in the quiet for a few minutes and be grateful. Be grateful for things that other people may take for granted. To know that we've been given incredible good, and a lot of it we didn't even ask for. For all the people in our life, our support systems, those who love us, remind us of who we are when we forgot. So let's just be in this moment of quiet.
Many gifts. Mike, thank you so much for the gift of that lesson. That was remarkable. Leigh, the gift of your voice. Gentlemen, all that you give us in this beautiful music. And everyone here who comes in every week to make this happen. So many gifts. Listen, there's an amazing gift waiting for you here at CSL. We have this group of prayer superheroes, I like to call them. They are our prayer practitioners. People like Melynda, whom you heard from earlier, Mark, and many others. And they are here only to serve. It is their good grace to give that to you. So, whether in good times or in bad, even if you just want to connect with someone and have them thrive off of some great news that's happened for you, or you need someone to lean on and remind you of the truth of life, reach out to them. Really, especially if you haven't done it before. It's an amazing thing. You can go on our website, cslkc.org/prayer, and ask for them to put some time and energy into what is going on in life. Every day you can call in to the number that you see on the screen and hear a recorded prayer. And I'll bet you riches to dollars that every time you listen to it, that prayer was meant for you. So avail yourselves of that. And here's the really cool thing. Right after service on Sundays at 11 o'clock, you can go into Zoom, into a private room, and have a moment of prayer with them. If you are on our e-blast, you'll see that information in the e-blast to be able to use it. You can also see it on the screen. Whatever way is possible for you to receive this gift, I hope that you'll open yourself up to it. It's an amazing thing. And I want to thank you for the gift of the support that you give to this community and to each other. I want to thank you so much for your continued financial support of everything that we are doing at CSL. So important now more than ever to keep communities and churches like this alive and thriving. So whether you contribute financially through our website, through Venmo, we've got Cash App, PayPal, we've made it as easy as possible. You can even mail it to us if you're old school like my mom. In whatever way that shows up, I want to thank you. Every little bit keeps us going and keeps this building ready for when we come back together here as a family and as a community. Have an amazing week. We love you. Namaste.
Thank you again for being here. We love it when you're here. Appreciate your talent and your gift. I'll just echo what Kate said. Thank you for the band, Natasha, Kate, Melynda, Bryce, and Stephanie back in the booth. So thank you all for giving up an evening and coming in and having this ready to go on Sunday morning for the community. We appreciate all of your effort to keep us all connected. So I'm just going to remind you what Kate said. If you'd like a private prayer time with one of our prayer practitioners, the Zoom room opens at 11, and the Zoom link will be in the comment line on Facebook or in the chat room on the right side of your screen in Zoom. So thank you so much for being here in however form or platform you're joining us on. We appreciate knowing that you're there. So let's have our closing affirmation, the statement that says, this is how we believe God sees us. Who are you? I am a perfect expression of God, entitled to a life of love and joy. Have a great week.